During the summer of 2006, I stayed up late one night while spending a week with my uncle, aunt, and cousin at a beach house in southern New Jersey. I was 15 years old. I didn't know it at the time, but I'm fairly certain my inclusion on the trip was an attempt to keep my cousin occupied while his father and, new young stepmother attempted to conceive their first child together. Or maybe it's just a coincidence that my youngest cousin was born 9 months later. Anyway, since my cousin and I are the same age and we have been close since birth, it was a week well spent in our opinion. One night, after a day spent being pummeled by the Atlantic Ocean and an evening strolling the length of Wildwood's considerable beach nightlife, we finally settled in to crash back at the beach house where the adults had already been quietly sequestered in their locked bedroom. It was late, probably a bit after midnight, and the day's sun and near ceaseless activity had finally caught up on us. In the room we shared, my cousin had turned on the TV and crumpled into his bed. He was asleep before I even had a chance to change into a pair of sweatpants. Usually, I'm not one for late night TV watching. Actually, believe it or not, I've never been much of a TV watcher, even as a kid. Not to say that I didn't watch anything, but compared to a lot of kids I grew up with, I wasn't addicted to the flashbox. But, of course, for some reason I decided to just lay there for a bit, mindlessly stare at the flashing images. I couldn't tell you what channel it was on, and I was too tired and too lazy to get up and try to find what my cousin had done with the remote. So for several minutes, I lay there, half asleep, watching infomercials in the glory days when Billy Mays is still the best pitch man in the business. Now, at some point, the last normal infomercial concluded, and the screen started playing ads for Girls Gone Wild. And suddenly I found myself a little more awake than I had been. As you could laugh, but hey, I was 15, and it's not like I asked for them to play it. Some of you might even remember seeing similar ads like that back in the day, and maybe they even still play today. I wouldn't know. I don't have cable. All this has been to explain to you why I was awake at an ungodly o'clock in the morning paying attention to television while everyone else in the house slept like normal people. After the Girls Gone Wild ad had played on loop for what I'd estimate to be about 30 minutes, a sudden rush of static took its place, lingering for only a moment before giving way to a much darker picture that took me several seconds to adjust to. I was watching what appeared to be a quiet hallway in what might have been a hospital. The lighting was much dimmer than what you'd expect from a hospital, but that's what it reminded me of. There were several doors on either side of the hallway, and pieces of what looked like medical equipment dotted here and there along the way. As I wondered just what exactly I was looking at, a voice began to speak like a pitchman, only it didn't sound like a pitchman that I'd ever heard before. There was no enthusiasm, no relish, no over-the-top exclamations of life-changing miracle products. The male voice sounded gruff, flat, uncomfortable, as if speaking to an audience was not his usual state of affairs. He was no Billy Mays, and he sure as hell wasn't some Girls Gone Wild pornographer. Actually, the sound of his voice overtopped the barren, dimly lit hospital corridor was straight up eerie, and I was suddenly feeling very conscious of the earliness of the hour. I couldn't tell you how his opening lines began, but I can vividly remember the rest of what he said. So much so that I fear the commercial had been burned into my brain by some means beyond human memory. Some very light music was playing, almost out of the range of my hearing, but just loud enough to register as discordant and unnatural. It was as if whoever had selected the soundtrack had purposefully chosen the most bizarrely menacing melody they could find and just sloppily slapped it over the video. I listened in disbelief as the man spoke over the sloppy music. Harvest Life has been making dreams come true for over 45 years. We specialize in revolutionizing human life as never before. Using our state-of-the-art research and development facilities, we consider your deposit as a personal investment into Harvest Life's future. That's right. When you do business with us, you're in for life. Just reading that now makes it sound so much more polished than it actually was. Nothing about it sounded professional. The dissonance between the man's words and what I was seeing and hearing was so striking, it made my arms break out into shivers. And suddenly the camera flashed to what seemed to be a kennel, rows and rows of cages lined either side of the room, and there were There were cages stacked on top of cages as well. Quick shots showed creatures huddled in the corners of these cages or else feeding or drinking from bowls. Laminated plastic tags hung from the bars like name tags, but... Wait a minute. Were those... Many of our customers find themselves down on their luck in the land of love, but Harvest Life has the means to not only change your luck, but we guarantee to stack the deck entirely in your favor. To do so, we provide two options. Build-A-Girl is our custom mail order partner service. We'll have you fill out an online untraceable questionnaire detailing your most desirable traits. Then our team of dedicated scientists will get to work building your perfect love from our tremendous stock. For premium members of our Love Matching Club, we offer an even more exclusive tier known as Happy Endings, which will fundamentally transform you and your intended partner, body and mind. The camera flashed back to the cages, and there was no mistaking it. Those were human faces. Each person in the cage appeared to be naked, even though the camera never lingered on them long enough to be absolutely sure. At Harvest Life, we care about you. That's why, with your initial purchase of any Harvest Life product or service, we automatically enroll you in a trial membership with our trusted partner, the First National Memory Bank, the leader in the global harvest of traumatic memory. Any payments made through the First National Memory Bank are completely untraceable and must be made in person at the branch nearest you. For more details, call the number on your screen. An 800 number began to flash below, but strangely, although I can recall every word the man said, I can't remember the number at all. I kept watching the advertisement with mounted dread, wondering just what the hell I was actually seeing. Was this some kind of trick? A prank? This is long before the days that YouTube pranks began, though. Suppose that doesn't mean some prankster wasn't responsible for this. Though somehow, I don't think that's really what it was. I watched the screen flash an image of the globe slowly revolving to show all sides. Harvest Life LLC is a proud member of the Global Consortium of Private Consumption, aiming to cater to every need of our loyal member base. One-time customers are invited to apply for permanent membership upon successful payment of their sample at the local branch of the First National Memory Bank. The GCPC is not interested in money. We are interested in furthering our global influence in order to provide revolutionary service to our loyal members. Contact the number on your screen for information on how and where to provide your sample for payment. The screen flashed again to show researchers in white lab coats and protective wear, analyzing vials of some dark substance that appeared to be blood, and something else, something far less easily identifiable. It was dark and swirling, and if I had to guess, I would say that the label on the container said trauma. Another flash showed the kennels again and a shadowed figure being led by a leash. Then another flash, and there was a picturesque scene of a romantic candlelit dinner. On one end of the table sat a stunning woman in a very revealing outfit, gazing adoringly at a decidedly unattractive man. Harvest Life stands ready to lend either its Build-A-Girl service or its top-tier happy ending service of radical transformation on your behalf. But hurry! Contact the number on your screen immediately before the next rotation begins in order to begin a life worth living, or your opportunity will be lost forever. Be ready to comply with the bank's request for your sample as soon as possible. We pre-select our audience. If you're seeing this ad, you know that Harvest Life has already identified you as a kindred spirit, and we make our effort to you with the trust that you will make the right decision. If you're ready to make life start working for you, call the number on your screen today. Harvest Life cares about you, and remember, once you do business with us, you're in for life. There was a dead zone for several seconds as the commercial ended, and white static filled the screen before suddenly giving way to yet another scene of drunk college girls doing things they would inevitably regret. I couldn't quite believe what I had just watched. I mean, to this day, I still can't quite fathom what that commercial was about. After a while, I did eventually get up, turn off the TV, but as I settled into bed trying to make sense of what I'd seen, I couldn't help but be weirded out by the whole thing. Especially the last part. We pre-select the audience. Harvest Life has already identified you as a kindred spirit. What the hell was that all about? The next morning, after an extremely unsettling night's sleep, I casually asked my cousin if he had seen any of the commercials on TV that night. Of course, he had slept soundly and was oblivious to any of the strangeness that had taken place. The rest of the vacation went by in utter normalcy. No bizarre television ads were to be seen. No matter how late I stayed up. Days were spent at the beach, nights on the boardwalk. I had to hand it to my uncle. As I watched his wife laugh at lame jokes and hang on to his every word, my new aunt was quite a vision. Way out of his league, in fact. And it always struck me as odd how quickly my uncle remarried after his first wife disappeared. Her death was ruled a suicide, though, and as far as I know, nobody ever recovered. Of course, that wasn't the strangest thing I pondered in the summer of 2006. Hey there kids, it's me, Mrcreepypasta, and I just want to make sure that all of you guys are still staying safe and doing your best to stay inside and keep yourself quarantined if you can do so. For those of you who can't, really appreciate you guys doing what you have to do. So, all the best to all of you who are still working, and all the best to all of you who are forced to kind of stay home and are not able to work. If you guys are missing out on a lot of the conventions, which at this point, all of them that I was planning on going to this year with the exception of San Japan, looks like have been either canceled or pushed back. If you guys were looking forward to any of the conventions this year and are missing out on a lot of the artwork from some of your favorite authors or artists, take a look in the description down below. At least until the quarantine is over, you'll be able to find links to a bunch of my artist friends as well as authors in the description of every video. And of course, I will be bringing you guys stories every single day from now until the end of time, available here on YouTube as well as here on the podcast on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and Google, and wherever else you can get podcasts. And now a very special thank you, big thank you, the biggest thank you I can possibly give to all of you who support on patreon.com/Mrcreepypasta, who help keep the lights on in my house. Patreons such as Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Ken Lando Higuchi, Brianna Van Tine-Janzen, Chompski, TheRedOakShieldVirus, Sindee Barney, G. Weevil 3, Diana Kraus, Stephen VanHuss, Tristain Pelton, Nico, TheGingerBroz, Dante Rowe, Raphael Rodriguez, Lastbladesong, Eliminator 86, Nebsky, SteampunkSinner, Kaleb Dougal, Daniel Poulsen, Sky Harbor, The Homeless Bird 93, Gabrielle Undefined, Barbie Carmen, Liam Newman, Aaron Stormcrow, Dr. Strawberry, Barbara Masio, Thomas Burgett, Azazel Rotten, Let's Get Scared, S-Man, Brandy Hasanori, and King DDD. Thank you guys so much for supporting on Patreon, as well as all of you that are shown in the description down below. And sweet dreams, everyone.